All right, so this last bit is about absolute value inequalities, and then these weird things down here called intersection and union. Okay, so first, for the absolute value, let's look at our how-to steps on 1.7. It says, follow the how-to steps from 1.7. That's supposed to say 1.6. My bad. Okay, and the how-to steps from 1.6, when you have absolute value bars, is to get the bars alone. Well, I don't have anything to the left or right of my bar, so yeah, I solved for x. Okay. Now, step 2 says, once you get to the part of making two equations, stop and do this instead. So, usually in 1.6, we got the bars alone, and then we went to step 3 where we wrote two equations, where it's equal to the plusative and equal to the negative. But when we get to this part, since there's an alligator, we come over here, and we either make a sandwich or a two-piece. So, we look at your alligator. So if we look at my alligator, it's a less than or equal to, which means if it's a less than or equal to, you make a sandwich where you take your number, which is a 9, and you write negative number, alligator. Ours is an alligator with an equal to. The stuff inside the bars, not the actual bars, just the stuff inside. Then another alligator. And our alligator on this problem has an equal to. And then the positive number, positive 9. All right. And then we go to step 3, solve for x. If you divide by a negative, flip the gator. Yeah, okay. So this turns into one of those problems we just did with the compound inequality, where to get x by itself, you subtract 8 from the 8 and the 9. And you get negative 17 less than equal x less than equal 1. Then, so that's the set builder notation. Then we draw a number line. And on our number line, negative 17 goes on the left because that's where negatives go. 1 goes on the right. For the equal to, you put a fat closed dot, or your homework might use a bracket with like it's square. And then since x is in between, we shade in between, just like a sandwich. Okay, so that's the number line. Now we draw our interval notation from where I started to where I ended, left to right. So my leftist value that I started shading at is negative 17. My rightmost is 1. And then closed holes means bracket, or that square looking thing. Yeah. So if you have a less than at the very beginning, it turns into a sandwich. Your answer looks like a sandwich with the alligators on each side. Your number line looks like a sandwich with dots on each side and shading in between. Okay, let's look at this next example. It looks different because of the dividing by 2. But my first step is to look back at 1.6 and get the bars alone. Well, I don't have anything before or after it. It says D no M. I don't have any multiplying on the outside. And then it says make two equations. Well, when we get to that part, we have to look at 1.7. So we're on step 2. It says, once you get to the part of making two equations, stop and do this instead. If you have a less than or equal to, make a sandwich. Hey, look, we got a less than. We're going to make a sandwich. Sandwich means you take that number, 8, and you make it negative. Then your alligator, and for us, we had just a regular less than. Then the stuff inside the bars, not the actual bar. Don't write the bars, just write the stuff inside the bars. And then less than the positive number. So look, we made a little sandwich. Okay, now we're gonna get x by itself. Well, let's see here. I can't start subtracting that 8 because the darn 2 is connected to it. I can't divide by 4 because the darn 2 is connected to it. So we learned on the last couple of examples that if I have a denominator, the way to get rid of it is to multiply by the reciprocal. So for example, on this negative x over 6, I multiplied by negative 6 over 1. Or over here on this example, this 1/2, I multiplied by the reciprocal, 2 over 1. Okay, for us, maybe a little slightly quicker shortcut is to say, since you're dividing by 2, the opposite of dividing is multiply. So I'm going to throw a multiply 2 on all these. And in the middle, she cankles. Let's change this 8 in the very original to 81. You're probably wondering, why is she not just dividing by 2, idiot? I think I wrote it wrong. Okay, so anyway, now that we for sure cannot take 4 and 81 and divide by 2, multiply by 2, all 3 pieces, and negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Gator, 4x, Gator, 4x plus 81, then Gator 16. Let me write that again. Negative 16, Gator 4x plus 81 less than 16. Okay, now let's finish it. To get that x by itself, we're going to subtract the 81. And we get negative 97, Gator 4x, Gator negative 65. Then to get rid of this 4 that's multiplying, we divide by 4. But I'm thinking none of this will divide evenly. Yeah, it won't. And I cannot even make a reduced fraction. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep it dirty. Negative 97 over 4. Gator, the 4 is canceled. X, Gator, negative 65 over 4. So here we just got the set builder notation. For the number line, we don't have to go crazy. We just have to draw a number line. And the negative 97 over 4, it's more negativer. So I'm putting it on the left. The negative 65 on the over 4, it's less negative, so I'm putting it on the right. Naked alligators means that number is not included. So put an open hole where your homework uses parentheses. Since this made a sandwich, we shade in between. And there's our number line. Now we just have to do interval notation, which is where the shading starts on the left, comma, where it ends on the right. So negative 7 over 4 on the left, comma, where it ends on the right, negative 65 over 4. And both of these are open holes or regular alligators, so that means parentheses. So the set builder is the one with the X in it. The number line is the line. Interval is the one with just the numbers and the parentheses. Okay, let's look at this next sucker. This one's different because the alligator is facing a different way. So my first step is to get the bars alone, and they are. There's nothing outside. My second step is to figure out whether we have a sandwich or a 2-piece meal. Get it? 2 pieces chicken? Pepsi. Okay. So this is a greater than. So greater than is, looks like these suckers. See how they look alike? Greater than, equal to, greater than, equal to. So we're going to make a 2-piece. The 2-piece says stuff bigger than your positive number. So the stuff inside my bars is x minus 3. Then bigger than your positive number, bigger than this positive 3. Then we're supposed to write down the words or. Then your second piece is the stuff inside the bars, x minus 3. But you have to, for the second piece, you must flip that gator and the sign of the number. So for the second piece, this gator flops around, and that big fat 3 becomes a negative 3. All right, now we just treat it like two different problems. We get x by itself. For this left piece, if we add 3, I think we get x bigger than 6. For this right piece, if we add 3, we get x less than or equal to 0. Okay, now we're going to draw a number line. So this is my set builder notation. X bigger than 6 or x less than or equal to 0. This is set builder. Now let's draw a number line. I'm going to have 6 and 0 on it. But which one is on the left and which one is on the right? Well, 6 is on the right because it's bigger than 0. Remember, our number lines go the smallest on the left, the biggest on the right. Okay, for this 6, I got a regular alligator, so I'm going to use an open hole, or your homework uses a parentheses. Either way, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, and then on this 0, we have a less than or equal to, so that means a closed hole on the 0. Okay, now, if we look, it does not look like one of these sandwiches up here with the X in the middle, a compound inequality. It does not look like these. So I'm not going to shade in between. Instead, I'm going to pretend it's like one of those problems that we did at the very beginning, where it's just one piece of shading and a dot. So we're going to have one piece of shading and a dot. But since we have two pieces of the problem, we're going to have two pieces of shading and two dots. So here's my two dots. Now for this 0, it says x is smaller than or equal to 0. Or it's saying that 0 is the biggest and everything smaller than it is what we're supposed to shade, because the alligator eats the biggest number. So 0 is the biggest number, so I need to shade everything smaller than it, which is to the left. For this x bigger than 6, here's my 6, and all the numbers bigger than 6 are to the right of this 6. So there's my number line. And for your homework, they might have used bracket on this 0 and parentheses on this 6. Okay, for interval notation, since we have two pieces of shading, we're going to have two pieces to our answer. Over here on the left, this arrow that's shaded is negative infinity, comma, roll up to this 0, and infinities always have parentheses. Closed holes, or alligators with the equal, always have brackets. Now let's look at this second piece. It looks like it starts at 6, 6, comma, it's shaded to the right through the arrow, so that means infinity. Open holes mean parentheses, infinities means parentheses. The last thing is step 9. If you have a 2-piece, that's what we had, use the U button in between, not the U keyboard button. Use the U button on the Math Lab computer screen. So we're gonna have to have like this weird this weird union button, and this union button literally looks like a U on your computer screen. But do not use the U on your keyboard. Okay, so we have set builder, number line, and interval notation. Let's look at this sucker on the right. First, we get the bars by themselves, they is. Second, we figure out whether it's a sandwich or a 2-piece. And this sucker is a greater than, and means 2-piece. So for the 2-piece, we write stuff greater than your positive number. So 2x minus 2 over 2 greater than or equal to your positive number. And then we write the word or, then your stuff 2x minus 2 over 2. Then you have to For the second piece, you must flip the gator and change the sign of the number. So this gator changes to a less than or equal, less than or less than, that hole in the page, less than or equal to, and a -8. Okay, then this is weird. Your homework was doing this a couple times. If you can divide, you go ahead and divide. If you can't, like on this problem where I made the typo, you multiply off the 2. But for here, I think we can divide. Both of these divided by 2 makes regular x minus -2 divided by 2. 1 greater than or equal to 8. Or, let's see, 2x minus 2 divided by 2, same thing, x minus 1. Less than or equal to -8. Okay, finish it. If you add 1 to both of these pieces, you get x bigger than or equal to plus 1, 9, and x less than or equal to plus 1, -7. With the little baby word or, means set builder notation. For the number line, the negatives go on the left, so -7. The positives go on the right, 9. Both of these are alligators with an equal, so we're going to put fat closed dots. Or your parentheses, or your homework uses brackets. Then this is not a sandwich because my x is not sandwiched in between 2 numbers like this problem. So instead it's a 2-piece, and basically 2 pieces get shaded on the outside, like 2 pieces of shading. Okay, then the interval notation describes these 2 pieces over here, from left to right. So from left, I got a negative arrow, which means negative infinity with the parentheses. Then I got a 7 with a closed dot, which means bracket, hard square bracket. Then, since there's 2 pieces, I'm going to do that U. Then for this right-hand piece, it looks like it goes from 9 to infinity. Bracket around the 9 because of the close hole. Parentheses around the infinity because it's an infinity. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about are these 2 suckers. It's called intersection and union. It's on the back of your 1.7 how-to step. It's right here. First it says draw the number line and shade. U means everything you shaded is your answer. This upside down mountain is called intersection, and that means the overlap is your answer. So first, let's shade these suckers. Let's do -9 and 2. Here's -9. Here's 2. Okay. These are open parentheses, so that means open holes. -9 to 2, that's like what we did up here. -17 to 1, that means the shading is in between those 2 numbers. So for -9 to 2, we're going to shade from -9 to 2. Okay. Now, let's look at this piece. It says -5 to 9. So -5 is like right here. 9 is like way over here. Pretend. Okay, on top of the -5, we have a closed hole or bracket. Over here on 9, we have a closed hole or bracket. And then remember, when it's number, comma, number, you just shade from one number to the other. What the heck? Okay, now we have to figure out whether we're going to take all the shading or just what's in common. So this little upside down mountain means the overlap, as in where both of the colors are. So if I look for both my colors, it's not this area because that's just pink. It's not this area because this is just teal. So it's from, looks like -5 to 2 is where both the colors are. And -5 has a closed hole, which means bracket, or you can see up here that -5 has a bracket. And to 2, it's an open hole, or you can see over here, 2 has a parenthesis. So, hey,